I found this metal piece at an antique store. It stands about 4 inches tall, weighs roughly 3/4 of a pound, and looks like brass. The base turns on an internal screw and the petals open to reveal a small platform. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a cast brass lotus incense burner from the late 19th century. Turning the base raises and spreads the petals, revealing a small cup that holds an incense cone or a scented pastille. The petals shield the ember and let the fragrance drift through the gaps, while ash settles inside the body. The lotus motif was popular in Victorian decorative arts and in export wares from India and China, which is why pieces like this show up in American antique shops. At about 4 inches tall and roughly 3/4 of a pound, the size and weight match brass table burners from that era. I received this stainless steel tool as a gift. The tip has an angled hook. Does anyone know what it is? What you received is a stainless steel spaghetti portioning and serving tool. The 2 round openings measure dry spaghetti. The small ring marks roughly 1 serving, the larger ring about 2. A bundle of uncooked pasta goes through the chosen ring, before cooking to set the amount. The long tapered body serves as a stirrer, and the angled hook at the tip can nudge a lid to vent steam or catch a pasta basket or strainer. Tools like this appeared in home kitchen catalogs by the mid-20th century and remain a simple way to portion pasta without a scale. I bought this brass piece at a thrift store because I like nautical themes. A side lever flips open the covers and reveals 2 lenses inside. I'm guessing it might be some kind of measuring device. Does anyone know what it is and how it was used? What you bought is a modern decorative replica of folding binoculars sold with the engraved name R&J Beck London, 1857. The real R&J Beck was a Victorian optical firm, but the ship motif and date on your piece are fantasy branding used on gift shop reproductions. The side lever flips open the lids to reveal small lenses with only mild magnification, so it works more like a prop than a true marine instrument. Sets like this are made of brass, with an antiqued finish and a faux vintage case. I found this old mechanical device in the storage room at my parents' house. It sits on a cast iron base and has a wind-up mechanism with visible gears inside, plus a short shaft on one side and a key on top. My parents don't remember where it came from. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a 19th century spring-powered fireplace rotisserie, also called a spitjack. The key on top wins a large mainspring inside the drum. As the spring unwinds, it turns the brass gear train and drives the side shaft. That shaft linked by chain or belt to a spit in front of the hearth, keeping the roast turning at a steady pace as it browned. The cast iron base let the mechanism sit close to the fire, and the small governor inside kept the speed steady. Families use these before electric or gas ranges. I found this old bell in New York's Hudson Valley. It's about 11 inches tall and 8 to 9 inches across at the rim, and it appears to be brass. The sides show the initials VOC on 2 faces and nautical stars on the other 2. What is it, and what was it used for? What you found is a Dutch East India Company ship's bell, cast in bronze and stamped VOC. Founded in 1602, the company was the world's first multinational and the engine of the Dutch Golden Age. On board, a bell like this set the rhythm of life at sea and in distant trading posts. It called the crew to work, signaled meals, marked the watches around the clock, announced visitors alongside, and sounded the alarm in storms or fire. The VOC initials on 2 sides and nautical stars on the others match company symbolism. At about 11 inches tall with an 8 to 9 inch mouth, it has the look and weight of a working ship's bell. I found this small leather case among my grandfather's things, and inside are 4 nesting metal cups about 5 ounces each, 4 smaller cups about 1 3/4 ounces, plus a tiny spoon. The lid is stamped Blumhardt, and I'm wondering if it's for liquor tasting. What you found is a vintage travel stirrup cup set. Inside the leather case are 4 nesting beakers of about 5 ounces, and 4 smaller pony cups around 1 3/4 ounces, plus a small spoon for mixing or sugar. Hunters and travelers carried sets like this to share a quick drink in the field or at a picnic. The yellow interior is a gold wash that helps prevent a metallic taste. The Blumhardt name on the lid is the retailer's stamp. Packed together, the cups nest into a compact cylinder that slips easily into a pocket or bag. I found this stainless steel kitchen tool in my grandparents' utensil drawer. The head is a curved scraper with a small cutting edge on one side and a smiley face cut out in the center. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a stainless steel corn scraper, also called a corn stripper. Its curved head wraps around a cob about 2 inches across, and the narrow, sharpened slot slices the kernels at their base. During use, the cob is held upright on a board while the edge is drawn from tip to base in smooth passes. The round cutouts let kernels fall through and help prevent sticking. Handheld corn cutters appeared in American seed and hardware catalogs in the late 19th century, and stainless versions became common in home kitchens by the mid-20th century. Similar tools were made in the United States, Germany, and Japan for home canning and freezing. I saw this wooden piece in a rural England pub. It's about 12 inches long with 2 brass discs and a strap that looks like leather or wood used as a handle. Does anyone know what it is? What you saw is a late 19th to early 20th century double game carrier. Made of oak with 2 long slots, it was used by shooters to carry pheasants or partridge from the field. Birds were slipped by the neck through the slotted rails and hung between the bars, while the leather and oak strap let the carrier rest on the shoulder like a yoke. The round ends with brass discs are hinged covers for access openings, and the hardware kept the strap and slats secure. Outfitters commonly stamped their goods, so the J.A. Jefferson mark identifies the retailer or workshop. Found this small wooden piece at an antique store. It's a round dial numbered 0 through 9 with a little hand that moves. Does anyone know what it is? What you bought is a whist marker, a small tabletop counter for keeping score in the trick-taking card game whist. The little hand pivots to point at the numbers 0 to 9 to show how many tricks a side has won, and players move it after each round. Many sets used a pair of dials, one for units and one for tens, so a single dial like yours could be part of a set. Pieces like this were made in the late 19th and early 20th centuries in Britain and the United States, typically in wood with a bone or early plastic pointer. I bought this at a flea market a few years ago and still don't know what it's used for. Does anyone know what it is? What you bought is an Indian oil lamp known as a diya. It's a small cast brass vessel with a shallow bowl, a spout for the wick, and a pedestal foot. The animal head at the spout resembles Nandi, the sacred bull of Shiva. To use it, lay a cotton wick so one end rests at the spout, fill the bowl with sesame oil or ghee, and light the exposed tip. Diyas are lit for home prayers and temple rituals across the Indian subcontinent, and are widely seen during Diwali, where the flame represents light over darkness and good over evil. Found this metal object while clearing out a 93-year-old World War II veteran's house. It was tucked up in the basement rafters. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a Bermuda carriage bell, a foot-operated warning bell used on horse-drawn carriages in early cars. The plunger ran through the floorboard so the driver could tap it with a toe and make the clapper strike the dome for a bright double ring. The wide dome and vertical rod on your piece match that setup. These bells were made from the late 19th into the early 20th century in East Hampton, Connecticut, by firms such as Bevan Brothers and the Gong Bell Manufacturing Company, typically in brass or steel. As automobiles adopted electric horns, carriage bells stayed popular with antique car owners as a distinctive accessory. I just moved into a house and found this plug-in device in a basement outlet. The only words on the case are Sonic Technology, and it measures about 2 inches by 2 inches. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an ultrasonic pest repeller sold under the name Sonic Technology. Plugged into a wall outlet, it uses a small transducer to emit high-frequency sound beyond human hearing, intended to make spaces uncomfortable for mice and some insects. The red light is a simple power indicator. Studies report mixed results. Certain insects show short-term avoidance, while cockroaches and rodents may ignore the sound or get used to it. Walls, clutter, and furniture can weaken the signal. This device works best as a supplemental deterrent rather than a cure-all, sealing entry points, removing food sources, and using traps or baits where needed remain the reliable approach, which is why people tend to run these in basements and garages. I found this heavy metal object with a curved handle in a creek bed near Hillsboro, Texas, and I can't tell if it's old or just weathered. Does anyone know what it is and how old it might be? What you found is a mid-20th century circular saw attachment powered by a hand drill. The base bracket bolted to a bench, a small blade mounted on the center spindle, and the fingered handle let the user steady and feed the work. A drill chucked onto the spindle provided the power, which made this a low-cost substitute for a dedicated saw when cutting thin wood or sheet. By design and construction, it dates to the late 1940s through the 1950s, not later than the early 1960s. I found this brass piece on the ground. It looks like a necklace pendant about 1.5 inches long, with stepped jaws and some stamped markings. What do the markings mean, and why is it shaped like this? What you found is a brass linotype matrix, the mold used in hot metal typesetting machines. On a linotype, pressing a key released the matching matrix from the magazine, and molten type metal was cast against its face to form a slug, one full line of type. The stepped edges and side notches are part of the machine's sorting and distribution system, and the stamped numbers show the type size and series. These matrices were used from the late 1880s through the mid-20th century in newspaper and bookwork. When the technology was retired, printers turned spare matrices into jewelry and key fobs. In the last video, I asked you to identify this wooden board with several slots cut into it. It's used for holding letters or bills. I really appreciate everyone who shared their guesses in the comments. It helps the video reach more people and allows the channel to grow. Now, I want to invite you to identify another unusual object. It's a glass vessel with a very peculiar shape. What do you think it was made for? Leave your guesses in the comments and I'll reveal the answer in the next video. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you found it interesting. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and lets more people discover the channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.